So I wrote my announcement out today because I didn't want to forget anything. I'm Nancy Entrican, and I'm here to update you on what's happening with the chapel because things are moving along pretty quickly. Because of two really generous donations, we have enough money to get the floors finished, including removing the platform for more room and flexibility. Stefan, who did this work on our current platform, is going to be doing that for us, so we know it's going to be beautifully done. And he's going to start that work on February 13th. The company we are buying the chairs from has a truckload shipment of chairs heading to Corvallis from Ohio to a new construction there on February 20th. So our 30 chairs, we are happy to find, can fit on that truck, and that's going to save us a lot on shipping. We estimate now that the chairs, plus shipping, will run about $125 each, $125 each. This is an opportunity for everyone to participate in the renewal of the chapel. No amount is too small. We plan to honor earlier chapel supporters who in 1950 gave money to buy pews as memorials. We will be taking the plaques off the pews and including them along with the names of the people who give now in 2023 in a framed tribute, which we'll keep in the chapel. Maybe because I've spent several hours each week for more than a year now working on the archives with my best friends, I find this to be the most exciting and inspiring thing I have been involved in at Grace. It's our opportunity to transform a space that has been very important to Grace in the past and bring it back to life for our use now, and hopefully also for those 20, 30, maybe even more years from now. We can only imagine what will come to life and grow in this revitalized space. And we came across a letter a while back that I think kind of applies to today, and Avril's going to tell you a little bit about who wrote it and then read some of it to you.
I have to say, working on the archives has been a lot of fun. I've only been here for a little over 10 years, but I'm finding out a lot about people who were here before us who made big changes. And in 1992, a man named Bob Nichols wrote a letter to the vestry. And could you raise your hand if you knew him? How many people here knew Bob Nichols? Great. Well, I did not, and I just wanted to know a little bit about him before I read this letter. So last night I called George Fleming. And George said that when he got here, Bob was part of the old guard that had been here for a long time, and they served on the vestry together, and he gave me some of the names of people who were on the vestry with them. And I said, well, tell me something about Bob Nichols. And so George paused for just a minute and said, well, he was a real character. So I thought, well, that's good. Now I know that. And so this is a letter he wrote March 1992 to the vestry of Grace Memorial Church. He says, one Saturday morning, about 15 or 20 years ago, a few of the churchmen were sitting around a breakfast table in the parish hall. We called ourselves the Men's Club, and we'd usually make pancakes and have a good time doing nothing together. Then one Saturday morning, we decided we needed a project, and we thought of the Mason Burnham Room, where you are probably sitting right now. And we were sitting there when we found this letter, so we thought that was pretty good. At the time, the room was just plain bare basement with a sort of scruffy false ceiling at one end that hid the pipes and heating decks. So we all trooped downstairs and looked things over. Someone dug up a hammer so we could tap the ceiling a little bit to see what we were up against. Then we sat around the table and talked about it. Suddenly, Lewis Smith, kind of an old guy, stepped up to the table with the hammer in his hand and took a healthy swing at that ceiling. After all the plaster and plaster dust settled, we realized there was no turning back. And we could see from the expression on Lewis's face that was just what he was thinking too. It probably wasn't going to cost all that much to do the job, but we had no idea at all how we would pay for it or where to start, so we just did it. Chuck Mason, our young architect who still lives in our neighborhood, started us out. Strick Gillian, who now lives near Mesa, Arizona, was our foreman. Dick Anderson was our electrician. George Fleming and I hauled all the wood panels from Mr. Plywood in a rented truck. Father McMurrin worked alongside of us and lent support and good humor. Bob Burns talked all the time, but he still got a lot of stuff done. Glenn Eaton chiseled some of the grooves in the concrete wall for the shelves and kept complaining that he wasn't supposed to be doing that kind of work. We worked all day for 7 Saturdays in a row. Our families brought lunch to the church, so we barely slowed down for a lunch break. I don't remember this just makes me cry here. I don't remember where we got the money, but we don't miss it now. I know that ECW paid for the carpet, and I guess they don't miss the money either. Now, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but Bob gave a list of things that could be done, should be done, and must be done. So I'm going to read the must. He says, nail down the parking lot some way and right away, because parking will be extremely crucial in the future. Maybe do it with a loan from the National Church. It needs to be done immediately and at almost any cost. And of course, it was done. So in closing, he said, let's build our church. Let's start now. There's not much time left to think about it. Step up to that ceiling and take a mighty swing. Faithfully, Robert L. Nichols. Oops.
Going through different things, I have to say, he's my favorite when he pops up with comments and stuff. Yeah, we started a file on him, and I have kind of a bad picture of him, but I think no, that's a different person's family. Anyway, if anybody has a good picture of him, let me have it. So Kevin and I will be in the chapel again today to answer any of your questions and give you a chance to try out the new chair. It's very comfy. We will begin to collect contributions today if you brought your checkbook, or you can go to the Pioneer website and contribute there. But make sure that you write down that it's for the chapel fund. And I'd also like you to let me or Kevin know, send us an email, a text, or just talk to us in church that you've contributed. Contributed, yeah, that's right. Because I don't want to lose any names that we're going to want to put on the plaque. So any money over what we need to buy these chairs, and we're getting 30 of them, and mostly with arms because of Yatundi's input that, we're all getting old and we might need some help getting up. Any money we go over will go stay in the chapel fund and go towards the repair of the 2 stained glass windows that haven't been repaired. So anyway, thank you. I know this was long. Hope to see you in the chapel.